It was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon at the fishing dock, the sun casting golden rays on calm waters, the quiet hum of boats in the distance. But trouble rolled in fast. A group of reckless wheelers, loud and brash, tore through the dock with zero respect for safety or anyone in their path. Their rowdy behavior caught the attention of a bystander who seemed out of place, calm, composed, and watching with sharp eyes. She wasn't just anyone. She was a highly trained Navy commander, skilled in handling high-stakes situations and unshaken by chaos. What happened next would leave everyone stunned. The Wheelers had no idea who they were dealing with, but they were about to find out the hard way. As tensions escalated, the line between control and danger blurred. What would the commander do? Stay tuned as this confrontation takes an unexpected turn that no one saw coming. The Navy commander, dressed in casual jeans and a simple jacket, seemed like just another local enjoying the day. But beneath her calm exterior was a mind trained to assess threats and act with precision. She quietly observed the reckless riders, their noisy engines echoing off the water as they swerved dangerously close to parked boats and startled fishermen. The smell of burning rubber filled the air as one of them skidded to a stop inches from a stack of fishing crates. Instead of showing concern, they laughed, their arrogance on full display. A young boy, no older than 10, watched wide-eyed from the dock's edge as the riders kicked up gravel. His father rushed over to pull him back. The commander's sharp eyes followed the scene, her expression unreadable, but her posture tightened. She stepped forward slowly. The Wheelers, still oblivious, were about to find out that actions have consequences, especially when the wrong person is watching. As the Wheelers roared on, another rider joined the group, revving his engine louder than the rest. He was the boldest of them all, with mirrored sunglasses and a cocky grin plastered across his face. Spotting the Navy commander approaching, he smirked and gunned his throttle, sending a spray of dirt and pebbles her way. A few onlookers gasped. The man clearly saw her as an easy target, just another person to intimidate. The commander didn't flinch. She remained steady, her gaze locked on him with a kind of calm that only comes from experience and training. Her silence was unnerving, though the rider seemed too full of bravado to notice. Meanwhile, the fishermen exchanged worried glances. "Does she know what she's getting into?" one whispered. "She's been watching them the whole time," another replied. "She knows more than they think." The air grew thick with anticipation. Every move she made now carried weight, but she still hadn't said a word. The rider leaned back, laughing as if he'd already won some invisible game. His friends circled around, revving their engines in unison, creating a deafening roar that drowned out the peaceful sounds of the dock. The Navy commander stood her ground, her sharp eyes never leaving the group. Her calm composure seemed to fuel their arrogance further. The leader of the Wheelers inched his bike closer. "What's the matter?" "Too scared to say anything," he taunted, the grin never leaving his face. He popped a small wheelie, the front tire lifting off the ground and slamming back down with a thud that echoed across the water. Nearby, the young boy clung to his father, fear plain on his face. A fisherman clenched his fists, but a quiet shake of the commander's head kept him in place. The dock creaked under the weight of tension. The commander took a deliberate step forward. Every muscle in her body spoke of discipline and control, but still, she said nothing. The reckless riders had no idea they had pushed too far, and they were about to cross a line they couldn't take back. Just as the tension reached its peak, a sharp whistle cut through the noise. Heads snapped toward the far end of the dock, where an older man with a weathered face and a commanding presence appeared. His rugged build and confident stride spoke volumes. He wasn't a man to be ignored. The Wheelers exchanged glances, their smirks faltering for the first time. The commander's eyes flicked toward him, a silent recognition passing between them. The man, a retired Marine and longtime friend, had been watching from a distance. Without saying a word, he began unhooking a thick rope from a nearby boat. His steady hands coiled it purposefully, as if preparing for something more than just tying a knot. The leader of the wheelers revved his engine again, louder this time, as if trying to reclaim dominance. But there was a shift in the air, a sense that the balance of power had changed. The wheelers were no longer in control. The dock creaked beneath them, not from fear, but from the weight of decisions about to be made. The stakes had risen, and the game was no longer theirs to play. The leader of the wheelers smirked, oblivious to the shift in energy. "You think you can scare us with a rope, old man?" he sneered, gunning his engine. His bravado filled the air, but it was the last display of arrogance he would make. With a calm, deliberate motion, the Navy commander stepped forward, her voice sharp and clear for the first time. "Enough." The single word cut through the noise like a blade. Her tone carried authority forged by years of commanding respect, and it hit harder than any shout could. The wheelers went still. "Off your bikes," she ordered, her eyes locked on the leader. When he didn't move, she added, "or I'll call in a full safety investigation." Her badge, now visible on her jacket, gleamed under the sun. "I have jurisdiction here. All it takes is one call." The leader's face drained of color. He hadn't been dealing with a bystander. He'd been taunting someone with the power to shut them down completely. His hands gripped the handlebars tighter before he slowly cut the engine. As the wheelers backed down one by one, the fisherman chuckled, shaking his head. The older Marine coiled the rope once more, smirking as he watched them leave in silence. Just when it seemed over, the young boy tugged at his father's sleeve, pointing to the water where a bike had rolled too close to the edge. The front tire slipped, and with a splash, it plunged into the harbor. The leader cursed under his breath. The Navy commander didn't suppress her grin this time. "Actions," she said calmly, "have consequences." The crowd burst into laughter as the defeated wheelers scrambled to recover what little pride they had left. As the water settled and the ripples faded, the fishing dock returned to its peaceful calm. The crowd slowly dispersed, murmuring with admiration and amusement at what had unfolded. The young boy, still wide-eyed, looked up at the Navy commander. "That was awesome," he whispered, a grin spreading across his face. She knelt down, a soft smile replacing her serious expression. "Remember," she said gently, "real strength is knowing when to act and when to walk away." The wheelers, drenched and defeated, wheeled their remaining bikes off the dock, heads down, their bravado long gone. The older Marine chuckled, shaking his head as he watched them retreat. The commander stood tall once more, gazing out over the water. It wasn't about power or pride. It was about doing what was right. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, a quiet sense of justice lingered in the air. Some lessons, after all, are learned the hard way.